Okay, so dude, we're just doing an art lesson. Okay, we're doing an art lesson on emote tutorials, emote shading. Let me go quickly sketch out. I'm just gonna quickly sketch Annie. Like if I were to draw Annie, I can draw Annie, I think, pretty well from memory, just because I've seen. Okay, so this is how I normally draw people drinking boba. I just like draw the straw out. I sketch out everything first, then I erase stuff that I don't need afterwards. So I like sketch through everything. Okay, so here's the boba like tilted. This is how I draw boba drinking emotes. So you can kind of see the rough process of me drawing the sketch out. But the key thing that you want to take into account with the sketch, for somebody consuming food, you want to make the food hella big. You want to make the food hella big because what happens is when you zoom out, when I make it small, you can still tell that she's drinking boba. If you made the boba actual realistic boba size relative to my head, which would be like here, you know, and I'd have like a boba here, it would be too small. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the line art, the line work. So step 1, we're gonna use the G pen in Clip Studio Paints. You just want any pen brush that can taper at the end. I just like the taper a lot. It makes like blending the line smoother. We're gonna pick a color that is not black. Do not work with pure black. It is a super harsh color. So I'm gonna pick a reddish tone and then I'm gonna go diagonally up a little bit. So we pick a softer brown color that's not as harsh as black. In the size 40 weight, which is the thickest line we're gonna use, I wanna outline key details. So we're gonna outline like the curvature of the face, the curvature of the face here, the boba, the hand holding the cup, and the outline of the head. So I'm just gonna go and like go through and do this. Make sure the lines don't overlap because you're gonna recolor some of these lines later. Like the cheek is gonna get recolored. So now we outline the boba cup, but you see the concept with the outlining that I'm doing though, where I'm outlining key silhouettes. So the whole boba silhouette itself, I'm outlining in the heavy line art. The silhouette of the head, I am outlining. My brushes are free. This is the free one in Clip Studio Paint. It's the first pen brush. The one I color with is the marker brush. And then I sketch in darker pencil. So I literally use the free ones. Not trying to gatekeep, I just literally use free. Yeah, so basically I want another silhouette of the hand, like the entire arm. So the hands plus the arm all together. Working with silhouettes is really important here because that's how you can tell when you zoom out what is what. Otherwise, when line work gets too muddy, it's very difficult to tell what is going on in the image. I don't want to go too close to the top. The way I like to draw my emotes, I actually add a very thick black outline across everything at the very end. So that's wise. I don't want to go too ham with the eyeliner here. And then let me add like a little bit of a little eyelash here. The mouth, I'm going to use a size 50 brush. I don't want the mouth to be too big. Okay, but what I mean by this, right? If we zoom out, let me move this eye down a little bit. I feel like the wink needs to line up with the bottom here. Okay, so now if I get rid of the sketch, but if I zoom out, okay, I know the eyes are a little crooked because she's winking, but when I zoom out, you can tell with the silhouette breakdown that I did of the thick liner, you can tell that she's holding a boba or like a drink of some sort or something, right? You can tell she's holding something in her hands. This is when you know that you have broken down the silhouettes properly with thick liner. When you zoom out and you can still tell what the emote is supposed to be. If you zoom out and you still have no idea what the emote is, then you cluttered your line work too much. With the
I can't read.
Very important thing is the eyes. Let's ignore that because she's winking. So I know the eyes are a little scuffed right now. But guys, let's pretend the eyes are even, right? But if this line work was not broken up like this, you would not be able to tell what was going on. Varying the weight of your line art is very important. So you notice I'm using only thick lines here. And then all the other details, I will use thinner lines because the other details that I use thinner lines for are not as important. So I can use a thinner line. I'm going to keep all these lines on separate layers, by the way, because I'm going to go through later and recolor all. Actually, I could put them on the same layer. We'll see. We're going to use the same G pen and we're going to use size 25. So we're going to use smaller. And I'm just going to go through and add the extra detailing. So extra detailing being the cardigan that Annie always wears, her tank top that she always wears. We're going to add that tank top detailing in there. You don't want to add too many fine details when you're drawing an emote because it doesn't show up. Emotes are really small. So any fine details you add do not show up on emotes, so don't bother. You're just wasting time. But now when I zoom out again, right, you can still tell what's going on based on the the figure colors, right? Like the line art and how we did the line art blocking, you can now really tell what's going on. But yeah, we're gonna go add the flat colors now. A lot of people are always like, Kat, but you can go and use the lighthouse tool to go and add the flat colors. No. Okay, step 1. I know. 2, I don't like the way it looks. 3, it's therapeutic for me to go and color things in. I actually really like manually coloring it in. It gives me a lot of joy. Okay, so I pick very saturated colors. Annie's also relatively pale. So we're gonna work with these paler colors. The way I color drives everyone insane, but whatever. Okay, so again, Annie's hair is very dark. She has very dark, almost black hair, right? I'm not gonna pick black though. I picked a color between red and purple, so a very like reddish purpley color. And you notice where my hue selector is on the square? It is not black. It is actually diagonally above. So it looks like black. So first things first, this is just a personal taste. We're gonna make a clipping mask, okay? Select the base color of whatever you're shading. So I'm gonna work with my skin, the skin first. We're gonna make it kind of big. I like to airbrush in the center first. So I just pick like a little lighter of a color. Okay, let me like airbrush here. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of an airbrush across the top of the head too. So we're gonna grab this color, we're gonna make it lighter. And then, this is also my personal art style, but the way that I shade hair, this is Annie, by the way, H. Howie. It always ends up making hair look very light. It's just my personal art style though. Okay, so we're gonna pick our light source. I pretty much always work with a light source coming this way, top left. So this means this part is getting hit by the light, this part of the bangs, this part of the boba, this part of the hand possibly. And then the shadows, we're gonna draw the shadows in blue. The shadows would be like this dark side of the neck here. The back side of the hand here probably won't, no, it would be below, down here. The baseline of the neck here would be completely shaded off. This part of the bangs would cast a shadow on her forehead, so there would be some shadow here, a little shadow here, and then I like to give like eyeshadow. So this is how I break apart the highlights and shadows based on where the light source is coming from. So given the hair strands too, like this section of the hair would all be in shadows. Same with the back side too. And then there'd be like a shadow casted back here. I hope this like shading diagram thing is making sense. All of this makes sense in my head, but it's a little bit more difficult when I have to actually explain my thought process out. But yeah, in terms of selecting the color for the shadow, we're gonna select the base color of the skin. And then on the color wheel, we're gonna first adjust the hue. So we're gonna move it more red, like move it quite a bit, okay? Be generous here. And then we're gonna move it over to the right more, so it's more saturated. And then let me see in terms of the size. Okay, I'm gonna move it down like a smidge. And then this is gonna be our shadow color. Don't worry about it, we're gonna make this into a multiply layer. And then I'm gonna add a shadow for the boba here. And then where I diagrammed where the shadows should be, so I'm kind of like, this one should be further, but kind of like this here. This shadow is gonna kind of curve up the face a little bit here, and then I like to give eyeshadow if I'm drawing like a more feminine person, so like this. So this is how a shadow face is. But Dan, the reason why you are saying why I draw and then it doesn't like extend past a certain point, right? It's because I'm using clipping masks. So I'm gonna add highlights. So let's go add a new clipping mask, right? This button here on Clip Studio Paint clips a layer to the layer below. So these red bars indicate this is a clipping mask. So both these layers clip to this one. It clips to the most recent layer that doesn't have a clipping mask, right? So it's this one, or like the one that's the most beneath it. So this one, if I add a clipping mask, it will also clip to this layer because this layer is the first layer going down that doesn't have this red bar indicating it's a clipping mask. So to pick a color that we're gonna use for a highlight, we're gonna again pick the base color and then again move the hue in the opposite direction but closer to yellow, and then we're gonna pick like a more whiter color. Yeah, so that's what the clipping mask does. So then like if I draw it like this, you can see where my mouse was, right? But you can see that I started here, but you don't see anything until I cross the face. And it's because I clipped it to the coloring of the face. But yeah, we're gonna go back to the layer, our shading layers. This is all the shading. I just hit it. under this drop down, we're gonna change it to multiply. We're gonna change the layer effect to multiply. You see, and then it basically like darkens whatever you colored over. So we're just gonna like lessen it a little bit so it's softer. And then I'm gonna grab an airbrush. And then, so this is ambient light. So ambient light is soft lighting that comes on the same side as your shadows, basically. Like from the back, like low, on the opposite side of your light source, basically. So the shadows will also be on the opposite side of your light source. So your ambient light and your shadows will generally be on the same side depending on how your lighting is set up. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of ambient lighting here on where the shadows are just to soften it a little bit. So it's making the shadows softer basically. Otherwise it'll look very harsh. This is my personal coloring style. But we're gonna go through with this shading and highlighting logic and shade and highlight everything. Hi, and it's Editing Cat here. I could go over how to fully render this emote, and I did go over it in this VOD, but for the sake of time, I'm specifically gonna go over how to render boba or a drink, because that's what the focus of this video is. I'll have the video on how I render emotes linked down below, because again, I already filmed that video. And then now we're gonna go and work on the boba. Again, with the airbrush, I'm gonna go and airbrush in the center. Now we're gonna again drag a warmer color. So I know like from all the colors we used up here, we moved it to the left, but down here at purple, a warmer color means a color closer to red, which means in this case, we want it like closer to red is going this way through purple rather than going around here. So we wanna move it closer here and then pick a darker color. And this is gonna be our shadows. So here's the shadows. We're gonna make this a multiply layer and then lower the opacity. And then for boba, I like to make a new shading layer. Pick a color even closer to red and make it even darker. And I like to add a shadow for the straw. So I like doing that. Okay, and then we're gonna go and color select the base color. Grab our pen. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Yeet. And then we're gonna pick a very light color. We're gonna add a highlight. Thank you, Mirror. I'm trying to be as helpful as I can. I feel like I'm not the best with explaining things, but I try my best. The biggest thing with the boba, the trickiest thing is actually blending the balls into the drink itself to make it not look weird. Because you see right now, it looks like the balls are like stickers, right? And that looks a little bit odd. But if we just go and make the balls into like a multiply layer here, and then we lower the opacity, then it looks like it's actually in the drink. So, secret trick to make sure the balls don't look super wonky. Or you can kind of like, oh, I fucked it up. If we make this a clipping mask too, and then we can put the balls like beneath all of our shadows and stuff. So if I move over here, you can see where the balls are, right? I have the base color, balls, then this is the shading layer 1, shading layer 2 with the highlight that I need to fix. And that makes the balls look like they're actually in the drink. Otherwise, it looks like it's like sitting on the drink if you don't layer it quite right. Okay, but now we're gonna grab pure whites. Pure whites. We're gonna grab a marker brush, make it big, like 250, no, like 200. We're just gonna draw, oh wait, no. My bad. We're gonna go make a layer on top of the line art, actually. On top of all the line art. Draw one, oh wait, let me make it smaller, 175. We're gonna draw a line and then a dot. But if I zoom out here, right, I'm adding a shine to the drink. Now, you're gonna be like, Kat, you are blocking the balls, right? Don't worry, we're gonna make this into a screen layer and lower the opacity. Wow, now it's shiny, but you can still tell there's boba. Okay, for the straw, I don't airbrush the straw at all. We're gonna work on a clipping layer. I'm gonna do all the straw in one layer because the straw is kind of small. I'm gonna color select the straw, and then we're gonna grab a more red tone color. Again, diagonally down, we're gonna pick our shading color. You don't wanna draw it flat like this because the straw is curved. So when you're adding highlights and shadows, you wanna take the curvature into account. So if you notice, I'm kind of curving it a little bit because again, straws are not flat. So our shading should not be flat. Okay, and then I'm gonna pick a highlight color, a very light, and I'm just gonna draw it like, ooh, I'm gonna pick it like very white.
Uh-oh, I can't read.
And then down the center. I'm not gonna put the shine by her mouth. It makes her mouth look a little, makes it look like a tongue. That's how I do the straw. And then the lid is very simple. I actually don't shade the lid at all. I just color select it, and then I will pick a lighter color, more cool tones. Use a big brush, okay? And then yeet. Or let me make it even lighter. Right there. I add a shine, just like that. This is how I draw Boba Cup. So what I like to do is I like to add a thick black outline around important elements. So what is important here is the hands, the boba, and the silhouettes. So like if you notice, like when I drop like in my emotes, there's always a black outline around things. So I'm gonna go on the line art layer. That is the line art for the outermost part of this emote. We're gonna hit select, invert selected area, select expand by 30, and make sure you have it around the soft version. So we're gonna scroll all the way to the bottom and make a layer all the way below everything else. So you see, use a fill bucket tool, you fill it, bam. Now you get this outline. It's a little bit trickier to do it for these other elements because they're on like mid layers and stuff. So what I just do is we're gonna go on the boba layer, or the layer of this boba line art, select in any dead space with the magic wand tool, select, invert, select, expand by 30. There's better ways to do this. One thing you can do is find the boba line art, the boba art layer, and put it behind that. This is very dependent on the way you layer your flat colors. There's better ways to do this, but if we go for the layer where our boba outline is, make a layer below and just fill it. I know it looks really ugly, but we will fix this, okay? And then yeah, we're gonna grab an eraser and then erase the black outline wherever we don't want it to be, which is inside the boba drink, okay? So we're gonna do all this erasing here, and then like we don't want it by the mouth like that because it kind of makes it look like a mustache. Erase, erase, erase. I'm gonna erase all of this extra stuff right here. And then, ta-da, this is how you can get this. Then we have like a much thicker outline around the boba, so you can evidently tell it's boba and not like, or it hopefully looks less like her tongue. And then the last one is we're gonna add the outline for the hands. So I'm gonna find whatever line art layer I put the hand on, and we're gonna do the same thing. Magic wand tool, select in dead space, select invert, select expand by 30, make a layer below, and then we're gonna use the paint bucket tool and fill. And then again, I know it looks a little wonky. Oh, very last thing actually. When you're adding these outlines this way, sometimes there's a little bit of like overlap where the black outline is beneath your thick line art. So we're just gonna go and find our line art layer, which might take a little bit. And then we're gonna take the eraser and then erase it. This is if you really care about the little details. I do this just to clean it up a little bit. And ta-da, we're done. And this is our emote. But if we zoom out, you can clearly tell that she is drinking boba and there is a hand here holding the boba. And that's how I make boba emotes.